This is lesson 1-1, relate integers and their opposites. Before we can relate integers and their opposites, I want us to take a look at the difference between positive and negative, especially when it comes to word problems. In your interactive notebook, I would like for you to split a sheet of paper and label the left side negative and the right side positive, just like it would go on a number line. And what we're going to do is we are going to list words that mean negative and words that mean positive. Since negative and positive are opposites, our words are also going to end up being opposites. One word that means negative could be decrease, telling me that my number is going down. Its opposite to mean positive is increase. Another word that may be positive would be ascend. The opposite of ascend to be negative is descend. We can look at this like money. I can spend, I can owe, I can have debt, I can have a debit. All of these are negative terms, but you can also earn money, save money, or have a credit to your account. Those would be positive terms. As we work through class, I would like for you to continue adding to this page in your interactive notebook so that you will have more words that help you determine positive and negative. Integers are numbers that include 0, your counting numbers, and their opposites. And while we're talking about opposites today, we need to take a good look at absolute value. By definition, absolute value is a number's distance from 0. Its notation is with two parallel lines, as we notice on this bottom. The absolute value of -4 is 4. The absolute value of 4 is 4. If you look at these two numbers, -4 and 4 are opposites. And since they are opposites, they have the same absolute value. This is important to know about opposite numbers. Absolute value describes the number's distance from 0 on a number line, but it does not consider which direction from 0 the number lies. And because of this, absolute value is never negative. What I want you to do on these 4 bullet points is remind yourselves on how we write this notation. I could write out the absolute value of -9 is 9 as a sentence, or I could use math terms and say the same thing. -9 in my absolute value bar says the absolute value of -9 is 9. This symbolism means the same as that sentence. The absolute value of 3 is 3 because it is 3 units away from 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0. And the absolute value of -156 is 156. In the extra practice section of your notebook or binder for this class, I would like for you to do the next 16 problems. I'd like for you to stop the video right now and write these 16 problems down and then continue on in just a minute. With number 4, we're going to find the absolute value of 9 is 9. Number 5, the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10. The absolute value of 10 is also 10. And I want you to stop here and I want you to look at this one. Why do these two questions have the same answer? It is because 10 and negative 10 are opposites, and opposites will always have the same absolute value. Let's continue on. Number 8, absolute value of negative 15 is 15. The absolute value of 13 is 13. The absolute value of 10, or of negative 7, is 7. And number 11, the absolute value of negative 12 is 12. Number 12, the absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8. The absolute value of 0 is 0. The absolute value of 18 is 18. And our last set, the absolute value of negative 24 is 24. The absolute value of negative 45 is 45. The absolute value of 60 is 60. And finally, the absolute value of negative 125 is 125. Now that we've got to look at what absolute value is, as it is the distance a number is from 0, and our opposites have the same absolute value, I want you to think, what happens when we combine opposites? What would happen if we combined a negative 10 and a positive 10? If I earn $10 and then I spend $10, I go up 5 steps, I go down 5 steps. What happens? In math, a number and its opposite combine to make 0. So a number combined to its opposite will always equal 0. In your textbook is where you're going to find these next questions. This is on page 8 on the bottom. Xavier climbs 9 feet up into an apple tree. What integer represents the direction and how far he will climb to get back down to the ground? What does the integer 0 represent in this situation? So picture it. You have Xavier. He is up inside this apple tree. There's my little apple tree. And Xavier is up 9 feet in that tree. What integer will represent him getting back down? Well, since he's going down 9 feet, negative 9 is the integer to represent that. And in this situation, the integer 0 is referring to the ground level. 9 and negative 9 is 0. The temperature was 75 degrees. At noon, the temperature increased by 7 degrees. By evening, the temperature decreased by 7. How did the temperature change? Well, if we look at this and we have 75, if I increase by 7 and then decrease by 7, we can see that these two numbers are opposites. And because of that, they are going to add to 0. So how did the temperature change? There, in fact, was no change. Shaniqua has $45 in her wallet. She spends $4 on snacks and $8 on a movie ticket. What integer represents the change in the amount of money in Shaniqua's wallet? Well, if we look at what Shaniqua has done, she has spent $4 in snacks and $8 on a movie ticket. The word spends is our negative term, one that we can add to our list in our notebook. So if she spends $4 and spends $8, she has now spent $12. Negative 12 is the integer representing the change. The question goes on to ask how much money does she have left? She started with 45, and if we include what she's changed, or what she has spent and the change, we find out that she has $33 left over in her wallet. Question number 4. We are now on page 10, and this is where I definitely want to see pictures of your notes sent to me on Canvas. Marcus dives from the surface of the ocean to a reef 18 meters below sea level. Below sea level is an excellent phrase to put on your notes for negative. What integer represents Marcus's location relative to the surface? We know he's below sea level, so he is negative 18. How far does Marcus have to go to return to the surface? Well, if he's under the water, he has to go back up to get to the surface, so his return is going to be a positive 18. Number 5. The temperature of the water in Emily's fish tank was 78 degrees Fahrenheit on Sunday. The water temperature changed by negative 3 degrees on Monday and then by 3 degrees on Tuesday. What integer represents the temperature change of the water from Sunday to Tuesday? Well, let's look at how it changed. We have a negative 3 on Monday and a 3 on Tuesday. Negative 3 and 3, they're opposites, so they are going to combine to be a 0 change. The integer 0 represents the change. So if the water started at 78 degrees and there was no change because they zero out, then the temperature on Tuesday is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 6. The scores of players on a golf team are shown in the table. The team's combined score is 0. What was Travis's score? Couple ways to solve the problem are possible, but let's look at the question. Celia and Janine have 3 and negative 3. Those are opposites. So if we combine these two, they combine to 0. That leaves us with Sammy and Ted. If we combine Sammy and Ted's scores, they're going to combine to a positive 5. Well, if the team's score was 0, Travis's score has to be something to 0 out 5. Well, 5 plus what number is going to give that team a 0? The only answer available is negative 5. Number 7, Max spent $53 and now he has no money. He had how much money before his purchase? If he spent $53 and now he doesn't have anything left, Max had $53 before his purchase. The temperature was 8 degrees. It dropped so that the temperature was 0. Blank represents the change in temperature. We know the temperature dropped, and in order to go from 8 to 0, it would have had to have dropped 8 degrees. So -8 represents the change in temperature. An airplane descended 4,000 feet before landing. Descended. Another word to have in our list is -4,000. The integer that represents how many feet the airplane was above the ground before its descent would be 4,000, because the airplane got to the ground and the ground is considered 0. Number 10, Carolyn says that point A and point B represent opposite integers. What is the opposite of the integer represented by point A? If I go on the number line and look at point A, I can see that it is located at -7. So the opposite of A, which is -7, is +7. Well, let's look at B. B is located at 8. So the opposite of B, which is the number 8, is equal to -8. So do we agree with Carolyn? No. Carolyn is incorrect because A and B have different absolute values. Number 11, a football team lost 9 yards during a play. The team had a combined gain or loss of 0 yards after the next play. What integer represents the yards gained or lost on the next play? Show this on the number line. If the team started at 0 and lost 9 yards, they are now at -9. But our goal, we're told, is that they are now at 0. So we are going to move to the right 9 places. So the integer to represent this is a +9. They gained 9 yards. Question 12. A roller coaster car goes above and below ground. So above would be positive, below would be negative. Use the number line to show its changes in height. What is the height of the car at the end of the ride? It says it starts at 1 meter above ground level, so we are at +1. It drops 4 meters. Well, a drop of 4 is telling us now we have a change of -4. Then we are going to rise 13 meters, and then we are going to drop 6 meters. Notice how when we had a drop, it was negative, a rise is positive. If we combine all of these numbers together, let's combine our positives, 1 and 13, we get 14 plus -4 and -6 is -10. If we combine those, we find that the height of the car at the end of the ride is 4 feet above ground. Question 13. Dimitri is buying a car. He chooses option 1 to add a new sound system. What integer represents the change from the base price of the car to its final price? If we look inside the magnifying glass, the first change is that we are going to drop $700 because it's on sale. But he's choosing an option to add a sound system to his car, which is going to cost him $1,400. But then he got lucky and there is a markdown. Markdowns are negative, so it is going to decrease the price by $1,100. Let's go ahead and combine our negatives. and simplify this expression. We find out that we have 1,400 plus negative 800, and when we combine that, we have a change of negative 400. That means that Dimitri's car at the final price was lowered by $400. Question 14. Make sense and persevere. It's a good thinking question. What values do x and y have if the absolute value of x is 16 and the absolute value of y is 16? And, being a keyword, when x and y are combined, they equal 0. Well, two numbers that have the same absolute value and combine to equal 0 must be opposites. If their absolute value, if their distance from 0 is 16, what two numbers are possible? 16 and negative 16. Those are the opposites that x and y could be. Question 15. Write a situation that can be represented by the opposite of negative 42. This is where we need to be careful to read, as it says opposite of negative 42. What is the opposite of negative 42? It is positive 42. So we want to come up with a situation that can be represented by the number 42. This could be a gain of 42 yards in the football game. It could be that you earn $42 babysitting. Whatever your situation is, you want your word to be positive. Question 16. 3 friends all live on the same street that runs east to west. So I am going to draw a street that is running east to west. Beth lives 5 blocks from Anne. Carl lives 2 blocks from Beth. If you noticed, it doesn't tell us east or west. This is an important part of this question. If the street is represented by a number line and Anne's house is located at 0, what are the possible locations for Carl's house? All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Beth lives 5 blocks from Anne. Well, Anne is at 0. Let's do Anne in purple. Beth in purple. Beth lives 5 blocks from Anne, but it doesn't tell us direction. Well, if she lives west, then Beth could be at -5. But if Beth lives east, Beth would be at +5. So there are 2 possible locations for Beth's house. But now we need to look at Carl's house. Carl lives 2 blocks from Beth. Well, there's 2 possibilities for Beth. If Beth lives at -5, Carl could live 2 blocks east or 2 blocks west. This gives us 2 possible locations for Carl at -7 or -3. But remember, Beth could also live east. And if Beth lives on the east, Carl could live over there. So Carl could live 2 blocks west of Beth at 3, or Carl could live 2 blocks east of Beth, putting him at 7. This gives us 4 possible locations for Carl. Question 17. Which of these situations can be represented with an integer that when combined with the opposite of -9 makes 0? Select all that apply. Let's look at this question very carefully. We are looking for an integer that when combined with what number? This says the opposite of -9. Well, folks, what is the opposite of -9? It's 9. So we're trying to find an integer that when combined with 9 makes 0. Well, 9 plus -9 makes 0. The situations I am looking for are the ones that represent a -9. Let's read these. You walk down 9 flights of stairs. That is a good choice. Down is negative. You climb up 9 flights of stairs. Well, up is a positive word, so that is not going to be a choice. The temperature drops 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Drops is a negative term. You spend $9 on a book. I get a book, but I'm spending money, so that is also negative. You earn $9 from your job. That's positive because you're gaining money. By selecting all that apply, we got our answer right, but remember, we had to go through every answer choice to get that right. Question 18. Which of these situations can be represented by the opposite of 80? Well, what is the opposite of 80? It is -80. So we need to look for the parts of this problem that represent a -80. An airplane descends 80 meters. Descends means go down. That is negative. That is our choice. An elevator ascends 80. That goes up. That would be positive. The cost of a train ticket drops by $80. Drops goes down. That is negative. You remove 80 songs from an MP3 player. Remove takes it away. That is also negative. Susie's grandmother is 80 years old. Age goes up. That is positive. So on this question, we have 3 answers representing -80. Please finish your notes and take pictures of them. I would love to see that you have been keeping up with your notes in this textbook while you are distance learning. For homework tonight, I would like for you to download the homework assignment off of Canvas. Do questions 1 through 16 and upload your questions to Canvas in the assignment so that I can see the work that you're doing. Please make sure that I can see your writing. That is crucial to me monitoring how you're doing. I look forward to our next lesson.